Hello, welcome to the Rangers Rabble. This is the pre-match show for the game against St Mirren. I'm your host, fresh off my guest appearance last night on the Friday night phone-in, and I'm joined by Brian and Graham. Brian, how you doing?
Not bad. Some performance last night, so we got a lot to live up to today.
What about you, Graham? You all right?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Just hoping for a better performance and result today.
Yeah, definitely. Last one, of course, last game before. Yeah, get this Curry Muncher straight in. Um, Last one before the Christmas break. We'll be back on the 5th. Well, we won't. We'll be back during the World Cup. But I mean, Rangers will be back on the 15th of December for the league action against Hibs. I think we've also got the Leverkusen friendly on the 10th of December. So, as it's the last one, get all your likes in, get your comments in. We'll go through a bit. We've got the halftime show and the post match reaction as well. So, hopefully, that's going to be a positive today before we go into the World Cup break. And if you're on your mobile, you might just need to minimize the chat just to do a little like, and then you can come straight back. I will just bring the team up, and I've done it wrong, so don't worry about that. I'll fix that in the background. Brian, the main takeaway from today, then, no Ben Davies. What did you think about that?
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise. I think we were discussing it before. We didn't hear sort of anything about that, and the bombshell's in that he's not playing. So, I mean, it looks like it's a Sands and King partnership again. Then up front, obviously, Morelos starts. So there's been a few changes. Kamara's back in. I think I'm quite pleased to see Kamara back. I always think he offers a bit of energy in the midfield. So yeah, but it's the bench I'm a bit worried about. I mean, you look down at it's a lot of young guys, and yeah, it's not the bench isn't much to be shouting about. Put it that way.
Yeah, I was just about to bring up the bench as well, but straight away the batch is just coming in hot. Just to start with, John Batchelor, 8.99 super chat, absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, John. Hopefully, it won't be a depressing day for us, and your money will feel like it's gone to a good cause. Or if we do lose, at least you'll have the boys to cheer you up after. And just a few people coming in. So we'll go through the team quick. So we start with McGregor in goal. Back four of Tavernier on the right, Barisic left, Sands and King in the centre. Lundstrom, Kamara, and Tillman seem to be the three. Right on the right, Kent on the left, and Morelos up top. We've got a very weakened bench. As we mentioned, no Ben Davies. So the bench is McLaughlin, Ryan Jack returns, which seems to be a surprise for some, but I guess him being in the Scotland squad almost meant he had to be on the bench today. Stephen Davis, Ravi Matondo, Charlie McCann, Scott Arfield, Adam Devine, is it Johnny Yafiko? And Robbie
Only,
Ure. Um, I mean, it's obviously the bench. There's not much we can do. I don't think Jack would be getting any minutes. Well, many minutes today. Anyway, so our only options off the bench really are probably Matondo, McCann, and Arfield. Um, I mean, that sort of just goes to show that there's not much else he could have picked today, right? In the starting 11.
yeah, straight away when you see no Ben Davies, then you wonder if he's picked up an injury, if it's maybe he's played too many games, he's not played a lot of football, so he needs maybe a rest, which again says a lot for the what situation we're in just now. But I'm glad to see Kamara back and starting the lineup. I think that's a nice balance, like a 6, a 8, and a 10. And they can kind of all, they're good with the ball at their feet and they can kind of get us up the pitch as well. So I'm happy with that. I think Wright's kind of performance off the bench in midweek, I think that basically guaranteed him to start today. Uh, in a way, I'm looking forward to seeing Morelos, but he needs to put up one of the performances of old that kind of bully the back four and get us up the pitch, keep the ball up there. That's what we're hoping for today. And I'm quite happy to see Robbie Ure on the bench. And I've got a feeling we could probably see him get minutes if Morelos, which we think might not be able to do the full 90. So, but in Robbie Ure, I was at the youth game against Ajax, and he was one of the best performers. Sorry. So he'll give me a wee bit of confidence as well if he gets on. So, let's just hope the team put a performance.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up a comment and I completely lost it. So I really apologise. But the comment was,
I
Brian,
mean,
that Ben
how
Davies
many
is
times have we said this season?
the only side available really at the moment, isn't it? It's,
You know, it's
you know what, the only argument you could maybe make is, I mean, we know that Gio's probably not going to start with McCann, so maybe he would have started Arthur. But the only real argument is Matondo or Wright, and obviously that's not even Matondo's natural position, so it probably doesn't make sense to put him out there. So yeah, it's just a shame. But segueing on from this, it's a really good point you brought up for Nicholas. Um, someone mentioned in the comments that Ben Davies is becoming a bit of a sick note within this team. We've obviously signed him. We believe that it hasn't all been injury problems, but lately it has. He's been picking up the odd knocks here. We talked about how he kept coming off on the 60th minute, and we were like, is he down with an injury, are we just wrapping him in cotton wool? We were finally delighted that he comes through in 90 minutes, and the next game he's out injured. Is that a bit of a concern, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, of all the positions that as an injury-prone player, you wouldn't sort of necessarily imagine a centre half being injury-prone. I mean, especially in the Scottish Premier League, with playing for us, you're not getting flying into tackles and diving at shots. You're not doing sort of an awful lot all the time. There's a lot of games that you can just stroll through, but yeah, he's certainly starting to appear as the new sick note. We've got enough of them already. We don't need any more. But yeah, I mean, it's a funny one as well because when he plays, he actually looks very calm and assured. But yeah, it's a bit of a worry. Yeah, it's just, as I say, I find it funny how a centre half can pick up so many knocks or injuries. But again, it's just the story of the season, I'm afraid.
Yeah, Graham. I mean, on Ben Davies as well, it's a bit strange because I don't know how up to date some of these injury sites are, but they don't seem to have him really picking up many injuries over his career. Yeah, he seems to have had a few hamstring problems at Preston. Maybe he was rushed back and it just tweaked again every now and then. But he doesn't really have any recurring injuries, and certainly not any that recently, apart from when he comes to us. And I just want to really quickly say thank you very much to Psycho Babble, brand new YouTube member. You get all the membership shows now, which I believe is on Thursdays and Sundays. You also get exclusive access to the content coming out early, like some of the interviews we do. And so part one, Jimmy Gibson's on there now. There's a part two coming shortly. So yeah, you'll get all them and any future ones we do. Thank you very much. But yeah, Graham, sorry, just on Ben Davies there. So is this just keeps coming back to this concern of what's going on medically at Rangers with these injuries?
Yeah, I think with Ben Davies, I think today we need to remember he never had much of a pre-season. I don't know what he did at home or individually because I know he wasn't with the group for large parts of it. So I think it might just be he's played quite a few games. I'm kind of hoping it's that rather than an injury. But again, that'd be strange not to have him on the bench at least to make the bench a wee bit more senior. So it is probably like an injury. So that's you kind of lose track of who's injured, who's come back, if they've come back before and had another injury, and it's mental. And again, we've said in many pods, it all comes back to what we're doing in training and the pre-season that we had when Scott Arfield said about it was a more technical pre-season rather than a fitness regime. So it's strange, and you just wonder when it's going to end. And when we're going, hopefully, well, as we say, we're coming to the World Cup, so we've got a break. But it's a lot of injuries have been in training and stuff like that as well. So you wonder if we're going to pick up more injuries when we're training during this World Cup break. So
Yeah,
the break
that
comes
is
at
a
the
worry.
time.
Yeah, I mean, bro, Graham's actually makes a really good point. I didn't even think about that. All these training injuries we pick up, and we don't know if it is whether it's lack of intensity or, like Graham said, we were doing the more technical stuff as opposed to the fitness regimes. Which Stu's already got the bun. It was for a kid's birthday party. I just couldn't bother to take it down. So I think, but also like Graham saying, we're saying about like we don't know who's out and who's in at the moment because there's so many. We were just saying before we come on live, we were like, did he say Ben Davies is injured? I can't remember if he said Ben Davies is out or not, and it's just a real concern, isn't it?
There's so many. I'm struggling to think. I mean, the only time I can remember a situation like this was I think the season where Dibble played for us in the 9 in a row season, we were hauling everybody back out of retirement, and anybody that was could stand up was playing that season. So it's the only season I can think of that this situation's happened. I mean, it's mind-boggling. I mean, considering how last season we were managing to play 120 minutes back to back, no problems, and then now we're barely able to string an hour, 75 minutes together. We've went from superhuman to sort of glass legs in no time. It's bizarre at best, and I've really no answer for it.
What's a worry is, I see a comment saying that I never seen the press conference, but it said Gio said James Sands had picked up an injury. So is he playing through an injury today because Ben Davies can't make it?
Don't. Was this not mentioned last night about flogging players when they're injured?
So many questions. It's unreal.
Yeah, we got a $5 donation from Andrew Harvey. I'm not going to read out the name of his supposed supporters club. I'll give that one a miss. But thank you very much for the $5. It's imaginative. I'll give you that one. I don't mind that one. Don't mind that one at all. But yes, I'm just looking, Brian, and I don't want to obviously go straight into negative because it's the last game of the season. I want to sort of be on a positive. So I guess we can go through some of the team. I mean, Leon King starting again. Yeah, I mean, he has to start at this stage. There is a little worry that I don't know what other option we've got in there. Lundstrom would probably have to drop back if there was an injury. I don't know I think Johnny Ufeko. How do I say that, Graham? Is it Ufeko?
I think it's John Lee Ufeko.
I'll wait until the commentators do it. But I think he can play centre back. I think he's played centre back in his career, so maybe that's why. And he is a big lad. But positive, Brian. It's another game for King, and all of these games are, they're going to rub off the right way eventually on him, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think ideally he would have been sort of bled into the team gradually. A home game here, a cup game there, and I certainly don't think that the management team would have envisaged him playing as many minutes and as many games as this. But for a young guy to just get thrown into the sort of first team and just chucked in, he's actually played really well. I mean, he's obviously made the odd mistake, but over the piece, he's actually done really well. And it's hard to criticize a guy who's just been thrown in like that. I mean, it brings you back to sort of Danny Wilson sort of scenario. He was, but at least he had David Weir beside him, which was a constant sort of encouragement and experience. Whereas poor King's having to sort of not play with the same centre half 2 weeks running sometimes, So it's difficult for the young lad, but to be fair, I think he's done well over the piece.
Yeah, definitely. And moving into midfield, Graham, again, not much options, but it is good to see Kamara back though, and hopefully he can come onto a game, because I think certainly with the way the contract situation is looking in the summer and maybe the lack of transfer movement, he could be quite important.
Yeah, as I said there, it's a nice balance, that midfield, as long as William's got the license to go forward, box to box. So it's kind of like a 6, a 8, a 10. So I quite like that, and I'm looking forward to see how that plays out today. And I just hope the two wingers keep wide so they get more space in the middle of the park. Because when they try to come in, it kind of clogs up that area and kind of defeats the purpose. So I'll be looking forward to seeing how that plays out today.
Yeah, definitely. I did give you the shout out for the $500, Andrew. Unfortunately, for legal reasons, I don't think I could shout out the team name or the sports club name or whatever it is. I don't know what that means. I've never seen that.
Thai.
Oh, is it Thai? Right. Okay. Ian.
I can't remember the currency.
Ian,
baht, is it
baht? Did see that he was in Thailand. So Ian, I hope you're enjoying it out there. I believe it's the evening out there right now. Thank you so much for your super sticker. Very much appreciated. Sorry, Andrew. It was a good attempt, though. I really like the attempt.
Baht, that's it. It's 200 baht. Yeah. back.
We've got our favourite Darlington fan, Darlington 1888, Ian Barron. Good to see you in the chat, Ian. Hope it all goes well for Darlington today if they're playing. But yeah, so Brian, I mean, moving up, we've got Tillman as well, playing the 10 role again. Again, Tillman is someone that I really, really like. How many spellings, by the way, have we got of this tie bat or Bart or Bart, bat? But thank you very much anyway, Ian. But yeah, Tillman again, he's a player I really, really like. And listen, I think I know he's on loan and it's a lot of money we have to put up if we want to sign him permanently. So patience is a bit of a virtue that we maybe don't have with Tillman. But he's a player that I think can be a superstar if I mean, whether that's the right management team that bring that out of him or whether he just needs time and to get more physique or because he's already a big lad. But once he starts filling out, I think he could be an absolutely excellent player for us.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of these guys that looks very he looks light in his feet for as you say, his size. He's got great skill. It's not often you see a guy of that size, sort of with that sort of, ability to, turn in a sixpence and, just see, he's got everything there, I think, to be. See, it's almost as like somebody has to make him angry to get him going. He's one, he just looks like one of these guys you need to just get a rock up his arse, or somebody has to give him a bad tackle, just to get a bit of something out of him. Because I think I wouldn't like him sort of a bit sort of pissed off coming at you because he's a big lad and yeah, he's definitely got all the skills. There's no doubt about that. As you say, he's on loan, but I think obviously the jury's in flashes. He's shown what he can do, but obviously, I mean, I can't remember what the fee was that was agreed, but it's a hefty fee, and he's going to have to produce a lot more than what he is before they pull the trigger on that sort of loan fee agreement. I think.
Yeah, Grant, I mean, I don't know the exact figures for Sands and Tillman, and I imagine both probably include loan fees that we've already paid for them. But it seems to be that the general consensus seems to be about 10 million for the pair, and that the Rangers have actually ring fenced that money, ready put aside to go and get them. Whether we pull the trigger on that, I don't know. I could see us probably pulling the trigger on one. I'd be surprised if we do both with what we may need in the summer. But just moving up through the team, you've touched on Scott Wright, so I'll go back to Brian in a second with that one. But Ryan Kent, obviously a bit of I want to say a cameo because he was on the pitch for 90 minutes, but he, a little 20-minute spell where he looked unplayable like the old Ryan Kent, twisting and turning. And as we said, Gio seemed to be going tonto on the sideline at one point when he kept coming inside. He clearly, it's not the sort of thing he wants Ryan Kent to do, but it seems if you do take the shackles off Ryan Kent and you do give him free rein, he can create these moments of magic that can unlock these low block defenses that Gio talks so much about.
Yeah, it was good to see that kind of performance. We know it's still there a wee bit, so hopefully it continues today. I've always said, see, even if he mixes his game up and goes wide and goes inside, so it's the defender doesn't know, it's when he constantly comes out inside and it clogs up that area as well, so it affects other players' performances too. But you can always tell within 5-10 minutes if he's going to have a good game. See if he gets like a nutmeg or he gets past the right back early on. That kind of builds his confidence. It's when he maybe a bad first touch or something like that, it kind of drags on for the rest of the game. So hopefully his first touch is on point and he maybe beats the defender and gets a positive start. And I think we could see that wee bit of form continue, and that's only a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. Gaz, who is your Fika? We were just trying to describe how to say his name, to be honest. He's a young, I believe he's a left back, but I think he came up playing centre back. And he's another big lad from Leicester. So
he's a reincarnation.
As soon as Bassi started doing well, we pretty much went to Leicester and went, "You got any more left backs that look like him?" So yeah, hopefully we'll see something similar in terms of progress. So Brian, moving on to the other side, we've got Scott Wright, and like Graham touched on, probably deserves a chance out there with Sakala out. And let's say Rabbi Matondo. We know Rabbi Matondo likes the left-hand side, and it's going to be a struggle because even if Kent's out of form, he's probably not going to get dropped. So instead of constantly squeezing players into positions that they don't like, or they don't want to play. It just makes sense to get Scott Wright out there, who, whether he likes that position or not, that's where he plays every single time he plays for Rangers. And I've always said Scott Wright and Scott Arfield are two players that seem to make a big impact when they come off the bench, but maybe struggle a little bit from the start. But going into the World Cup, huge chance for Wright to sort of stake a little bit of a claim.
Absolutely. I mean, I think there was one game this season where I think Wright had to start on the left. But he's certainly. Everybody sort of accuses him of being a bench player and coming up like an impact player, but he very much deserves his chance now. I think just again, like Nicholas Moore said earlier, the lack of numbers. It's all we've got. I like the way that he goes at like fullbacks and takes them on. He's not scared. He's very much. That's what I like about Kent as well. The two of them are they're very persistent. They don't let if they don't get past somebody, the head goes down. They keep going back for more and they keep trying. And Wright's got a lot of energy as well. So we might need that today in the wings. It's just that it's always been Wright's problem is final sort of ball or cross or whatever. That's been the sort of thing that's the stick that everybody's hitting with sort of style.
Yeah, Mad Dog says confirmed on follow. I don't know if you can say it's confirmed when it's on follow. That Matondo's 28k. I'd be stunned if he's on 28k a week. I know that when we signed him, the rumours around the time was he was on 12 to 15 at Schalke, and I know we do like overpaying about for no reason, but I'd be absolutely stunned if he's on that much. But he probably is on a big wage from sort of the pedigree he came from. Cammy's asked you, Brian, how do you keep your shirts in such good condition? I assumed you just throw them away and buy a new one every week because you're
no, certainly don't do that. No, wear them little and often. Just pluck them. Just wear them once in a blue moon every so often. Don't wear them outside really very often unless I'm going to a game. I'll wear them if I'm going to a game as such, but apart from that, don't wear them very often.
Yeah, so there you go, Kimmy. You can hopefully that'll help you. I mean, mine mostly fall apart. If I wear one of the old ones on here, I just hide the sponsor because it's usually peeling off.
No, the sponsor's all right. This one's pretty. Although it looks very good condition, there's this top of all the tops is very bobbly. It is one of the most bobbliest tops we ever had. So it appears very good, but it's got a lot of bobbles. But I got a thing off one of the guys on Twitter, and he said a machine that you can take the bobbles out. So I'm going to test it on another shirt before I try it.
I was going to say take off the shirt. So yeah, Graham. I'll let you wax lyrical a little bit about Morelos. I know you're excited to see him in, and I think a part of me always is excited to see if Morelos going to come, even though I know he's probably a bit overweight. He's not fit enough at the moment, but none of the squad I think are fully fit. But I harken back to those days. Morelos was giving us some of our best times as Rangers fans, and I was just hoping that every time he comes on, he's going to show this bit of magic again. So I think I always hold out that little bit of hope. Is that sort of a similar vein for you?
Yeah, I've always said your Loudrops and all that are legends, and I love them. But the way I love Morelos over these past years has been different. But it's sad and it hurts to see the way it's going now. But I'm always trying to be optimistic. And he's come back for obviously his first big injury, I believe, as well in his career. I don't remember having a proper injury like that. So we've got to give him a wee bit of leeway for that, but he needs to get the fitness. See if he just got the fitness, I think he'd be back, basically. I think it's just that fitness problem, and obviously you hear the rumours about he's out and about and stuff like that. But if he plays to his game, there's no striker I've seen that actually occupies a whole back 4 or 5 the way he does. He scares the living shit out of them, basically. So the day we get that Morelos back, you just want it back. You just want El Buffalo back. But I think if I remember right, he's got a good record at St Mirren. I think he scored quite a few goals there. So hopefully that's a wee thing to look out for as well. And he can get a couple of the days, go and enjoy his break and get a proper fitness into him and come back in the new year. And we'll see El Buffalo back.
Actually, Graham, when you were just mentioning records at St Mirren, we've actually we've actually got a decent record down there. I didn't realise it was as good as it has been recently. I thought we'd struggled down there, but I mean, I think it's just been we seem to be allergic to cup games down there. We don't do very well in cup games, but apart from that, the leagues, our league form down there is actually pretty decent. So I was pleasantly surprised about that because I wasn't sure if we were pretty good down there, but it's a good record.
Yep, we've got another new member. Look at this, Ian McDougall. Thank you so much for your membership. Like the other guys, you're going to get the Thursday shows and the Sunday shows now. So come in. They should pop up on when you're in YouTube. If you go onto the Rangers Rabble page, you should get a notification, but some people do say they don't get them. Go into YouTube page. There's a little community tab, and your extra shows will appear on there. Hopefully, Martin puts them in advance, which you should do over the World Cup because it's going to be a little bit quieter. I was just about to bring this up.
What's all this about?
Yeah. So I was just about to bring this up. I think Nicholas also asked what he said. So Joey Barton basically had this interview. I haven't seen all of it, but I've seen little bits of it. And he basically said Rangers would have won the league if they listened to him. We would have won the league earlier if we listened to him because the things he was saying has proven right. He said he told Rangers about certain players not being good enough, and those players are still there.
His own name?
Huh? That's it. Do you know what he did say? He said that Scott Brown never got the better of him because they never went head to head technically. Because of the Senderos red card, he was pushed into a back three with Wallace and Tavernier, and he was comfortably the best defender that day, apparently. But he said, I don't know if he name-checked Tab, but he basically said all the things he was saying about players that can't defend or can't produce, those players are still there, which makes me think it can only really be Tab that he's talking about.
It's funny that Tab on the captain, the team at 155.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, this is... Joe Barton is someone that, for all his insight, he's so far managed Fleetwood to absolutely nothing, and then Bristol Rovers. So he got Bristol Rovers up from League Two. So I don't think we're all going to run to get Joe Barton's opinions on how we should play at, going head to head.
Take that with a pinch of salt.
It's one of those things. It's just, I think he just likes the sound of his own voice sometimes. Joe Barton, I think.
You wonder why interviews sometimes as well. But
yeah,
is that the Daily Record or somebody try to cause a wee bit of a storm with him interviewing him basically or something?
I think I've got a funny feeling it was Rangers Review. That's where I saw it. It was Rangers Review. So I don't know if they interviewed him or if they just took that from a paper. It sounds like a paper. Well, say it sounds like a paper, but Rangers Review. So yeah, it's just him just being like pretty much that basically.
Controversial.
He just wants to say something, doesn't he, and minimise the damage that he inflicted with as well. He wasn't good enough, and then he threw his toys out the pram. That being said, probably some of the points were valid. The players weren't good enough at the time, but yeah, if he's singling out Tab as an overall, he's still not good enough. Then it's a poor comment from me. But yeah, Brian. So that's the starting lineup. We'll just talk about obviously the notable absentee today is Antonio Cholak. The last guy we sort of wanted to get injured, and we've been talking in recent weeks how much we've been relying on his goals, and obviously the last couple of games it's dried up a little. But we were worried about the potential scenario of him going out injured and how we replace it.
Yeah, we were all sort of speaking and saying, "Oh, thank goodness for Cholak this season." If it wasn't for him, goodness knows where the goals would have came from or who would have scored them. I was listening last night, and there was I think the first guy on the phone said, he's a bit concerned about how he feels that Cholak's been flogged. This last couple of games, he went down against Aberdeen, played the next game, and then obviously he's not playing today. I mean, if somebody's injured, I mean, depending obviously on the injury. I mean, I'm not medically sort of minded, but I mean, there's certain injuries you can play through, but then there's certain injuries you can't. But I mean, if a guy goes down, holding a part of his leg, then get him off. You don't want to risk him running around and making it worse. But I can't remember the guy's name last night. He was saying that he played against Aberdeen. He went down against Aberdeen, and then he played, I think, the entire rest of that game, and then he played the very next game. But then he's out now. So I mean, it's so frustrating. You feel as though a lot of these could be avoided just by early intervention, taking them off, giving them a break, a game break, and then they're back fully fit. But we just seem to flog players just now, and that's the thing that annoys me. I think, that's what happened to Morelos towards the end of last season. We flogged him. He was injured. And then the final straw was he went away with Colombia and got injured with them, and then that was it. So it's just this flogging of players, it's just annoying, very annoying.
Yeah, Curry said, "How can we've been moaning about like Tavares? How can you defend him because it's Barton?" No, I'm not defending Tav. Like Tav has been awful this season, and he's had other seasons where he has been bad. I think overall for £200,000, Tav's been an excellent signing. Like, he captained the side to 55. I personally don't think he's captain material. I just, I think he would still be a first team player regardless. But not all captains have to be. I'm old school, right? I like this sort of, your Terry Butcher, big style centre back being your captain, or your centre mid being your captain. That's just personal preference. But I think he's been fine. As I say, this season he hasn't been good enough. But the actual goal and assist output that Tav has given us, I don't think it's right for Joe Barton just to say, oh, well, he still makes the same mistakes now. It's like, maybe under Gio it's a bit different because he plays a bit more defensively, so you can maybe look at that. But in terms of, how we want to play attacking, our fullbacks are high up the pitch. Therefore, they are missing or posted missing a lot when the counter attack happens, and that's why we're supposed to have those two midfielders that go across and cover. But yeah, I just thought it was poor comments on a fellow professional that's not achieved so much, or we've probably underachieved, but that has been, pound for pound, a fantastic sign in my opinion. Yeah. So, right, there you go. Yeah, it probably was well worded it. Bad night's sleep. You can tell from the panda eyes. I'll say panda eyes. I'll go back to what Ross was doing last night now, aren't I? Jesus. So yeah, Graham, that's the team. I mean, when you look at the bench, you've already mentioned sort of Robbie. You're expecting to get a couple of minutes. Is there anything else there you really see coming on to maybe change the game if we need it, if we fall behind? Like I said earlier, maybe Ravi Matondo, but outside that, what else do we do?
I would trust Robbie Yu to come on. I'm a big fan of the youth team and stuff like that. So, and I've seen him play against Ajax, and he holds the ball up well, and he's quite quick as well, and he's good at the ball at his feet dribbling wise. And we've seen it in his debut when he scored. So he can score for the first team as well. But also it's the total wrong way to bring these young boys in when you're putting pressure on them. You kind of want to bring these boys in when we're 3-4-0 up. He can come on, have confidence, have leaders beside him and stuff like that. But it's just, we were saying about Leon King as well. But you'd rather have him playing maybe 2 games and drop him out again and bring him back in maybe a week later, stuff like that. That's the way I always feel the best way to develop youth. But when you say about the bench, like Matondo as well, I said at the beginning, I don't know why we signed him. I've seen him a few times and he doesn't give me any confidence at all. So Charlie McCann's one that could come on and maybe help play in maybe the 10, but I prefer him as an 8. So it just shows you how weak the bench is as well. You've got Arfield, he's on the bench, yeah. Hi.
Arfield's on the bench, yeah.
Arfield's also going to be the one that will come on that can provide the runs beyond the striker as well. So let's hope we're not relying on the bench in the closing minutes. So hopefully we're winning and we can kind of take players off and get them rested and bring players on to get minutes when it's confidence in the game's won. So just to see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it only gives you so much to talk about when we can barely get an 18 available for the game. So
I'll tell you one thing I was going to say. I thought St Mirren were third. They're way down 8th. But what I noticed is Aberdeen are in third with 22. St Mirren is 8th on 20.
2 points behind them. Yeah, yes.
I
think they were third
between 3rd and 8th.
They were 3rd when we beat them at Ibrox, weren't they?
Yeah, well, they're down in 8th, but they're only 2 points behind Aberdeen in 3rd.
It's going to be. I feel like it's going to be the same as recent seasons, where I just think I like to think our league's getting stronger at times, and I think some teams do sign better players. So I quite like that Mavoski at Aberdeen. I think there's a couple of teams are going a bit more foreign again. but it's just such a poor league at the moment, and I think that's why all these other teams are so close together, because no one can put any consistency together.
And I suppose the other talking point from the game might be the appointment, the old referee. So we'll wait and see what happens there. But I've never got any confidence with that guy. It's in the middle of the park against us. I see a folk speaking about him in the comments. So
It's, Mr. O'Connor is the linesman.
Clancy's the referee. So
so. Hopefully, he's been told. Yeah, I'm actually more worried about the liner, to be honest. I'm just hoping he's told to keep his flag down and let VAR check, because I could just see him putting the flag up straight away every time. But we'll see. I'm gonna trust that they're impartial. So, just looking at St Mirren quickly, Graham. They look like to be lined. They look as if they're lined up with a 5-3-2. We know some of the centre backs, Fraser, Gallagher, Dunn, tried and tested in Scotland. They've also got a decent keeper in Carson. Erahon's quite highly rated, but they've gone with 2 strikers again today. So Iunga and Curtis Main, who both quite physical, especially Iunga, who sort of ran that lot ragged. I thought when they played at St Mirren last time, only team to beat him, of course. So it's going to be a big test for Sands and King. Do you think that's why? I mean, St Mirren may play with that every week. I don't know, but do you think that's certainly a thing for them to target the young centre back pairing?
Yeah, I think so. With Curtis Main, we know what he's like when he's Aberdeen days and that as well. So it'll be a tough test, but it's going to be a learning curve, and he'll learn from it today, definitely. But St Mirren, for me, I remember him, as Brian was earlier, the cup games, they kind of played us off the park in the second half. But most of that team's away, so I'm not really familiar with the team that they've got today. I don't really watch any other Scottish games apart from us. So, but I think it will be probably most of the possession, and they can try and hit us in the counter attack, plenty of crosses in for the 2 strikers. So King and Sands will need to be on point and stick close to their man. And then set pieces again, I think will be a big part. So hopefully we're man Barton and not the kind of zonal stuff that we used to do. So it'll be a tough test, but hopefully they come through it.
How about that for a stat, eh? So Mirren have 3 players at the World Cup and Rangers have 1.
I thought you'd be tuning in, Stu. Gio's doing his pre-match chat there.
Is it? I can't get through my boring pre-match. Do you know what? I tend not to do the pre-match. I just like the post-match when I'm already angry, and it just drives me even more insane. I'm stuck up for punishment. That's the problem. So I guess final sort of point then, Brian, which we haven't mentioned. Seeing from the training pictures, Alex Lowry is training with the first team, so he's not been completely bombed out of the squad. No. So it makes it even more baffling that again he's not involved in the matchday squad at all. Whether Gio is putting this down to a fitness issue or an attitude issue, we know transparency is something that doesn't come easy at Rangers, so we have no idea what it is.
No, I would imagine it's more just he's done something wrong. They've told him to, go and just have a wee think of what you've done.
Cheers, Corey.
He played for the B team, so he's back in the first team, by all accounts on the photos the other day. So I don't know if he's got any chance. I don't know if he's playing B team this week, Graham, is he?
I don't. In fact, he did. He missed a penalty, and by all accounts, didn't really play too well. So it's not a good sign.
So but I mean, he's obviously a young guy. He's going to make mistakes, so you kind of just hope he learns from them and moves on quickly, because he's too good a player to be carrying on like that. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Hunter, did you echo that then, Graham?
Yeah, I'm not liking this kind of stuff that we're hearing about his attitude and stuff like that. So hopefully I can sort that out, because we all know what kind of player he's going to be if he puts his head to it and the attitude right and stuff like that. He's one of the players that could be a mainstay for years to come, and we could in the end up make a lot of money from as well when the time's right. So hopefully, as we believe, it was missing for midweek and today. So hopefully that's the kind of disciplinary issues over, and he'll be back ready to go for when we come back after the World Cup. We'll see Alex Lowry play a lot more.
Yeah, so just moving on to the game then. Brian itself, I mean, Curry's asking if we're going to try and fire a million balls into the box again, or are we finally going to try something different? I could see an early goal being vital here. I've talked about one of my, I could get behind Gio if he was a bit more honest. I think in his press conference, if he's, even if he was quite reluctant to change his style, but if he was more honest in saying, well, we're not doing this good enough, or we're not doing that good enough. But when he comes out saying stuff like, oh, we're underperforming in goal scores, we're not taking enough of our chances, when we're actually pretty much bang on with our expected chances to goals ratio. So I don't think that's the problem at all. How do you think an early goal is going to be important today, or do you think we can still grind it out without like we did, I guess, in the last match?
There's times you think an early goal is crucial, but at the same time, for me, there's a lot of times where an early goal just allows us to sit back and try and soak up pressure, and that's just as bad. That's just as nerve-wracking as 0-0 at times. But yeah, I mean, obviously you want the early goal. I just hope we don't stop when we get one. It frustrates me a lot of the time when we start well in games, we get 1-0 up, and then we just sort of revert. Oh, we're just going to sit back and take a just keep going. Just keep playing the way you're playing. It's obviously working. So, but yeah, a crucial goal is always good in an away game, especially, definitely.
Yeah, Scott Beach just said that Ben Davies has been rested. I don't know if this is what Gio has just said.
Maybe it is, yeah.
But and this is going to be the last point, so I can let everyone sort some drinks in before we start. But Graham, Ben Davies being rested. If that is the case, I mean, again, this just goes back to me saying that I feel like Gio lies a lot of the time. Why are you resting a player before a 5-week break when we have no other options?
It's mental, especially when we say about St Mirren's strikers, 2 strikers. We need a proper centre half that's commanding in the air a wee bit to help King. But the only thing I can think of, maybe, and also we don't know again because of transparency, maybe the personal reasons are. I think he's needed time off. But again, we're guessing. So, like you say, if it's just proper resting because he's played too much, he's for a 5-week break. It's mental. It just gets you so angry. Unless it is a personal issues, then I totally understand.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, if it is that, if Gio's covering for personal issues, fair enough. But I just don't.
I would rather he just come out and said it though. Said like it's personal reasons.
Yeah. Or he just said, Davies isn't available. So even if he goes and be elusive about it like that, but don't say he just always puts his foot in it. That's what I just don't like. He always puts his foot in it. I just don't get it. It's like he's trying to wind us up. Right, where has Mel's comment gone? Half-time pod today. There will be a half-time pod. It's going to be Graham and Brian. And then I think you've got JD joining you for the post-match. As far as I know, it's JD. But that could change. You never know. It looks like Dave's injured. So, Graham, can I get a score prediction and give me a first goal score as well, please? And if everyone else can chuck their score predictions in the comments, I'll bring a few up as well.
I'm going to go 2-0. We'll get an early goal in the first 15 minutes, and then we'll get a late goal to seal it off. And I get a funny feeling we're going to score from a free kick, either Tavernier or Barisic. I'll go Tavernier.
She was.
What about you, Brian?
Oh, this. I've been so down on us recently. I'm going to go 3-0. I'm going to go. And I've been even more down on this guy recently, so I'm going to say Morelos first scorer as well. I'm going to totally go out of the blue. I'm going to go 3-0 and Morelos first goal.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I was genuinely thinking about doing this. The problem is I don't have a box full of props like Ross does. That's the only thing. Something about every occasion. It's like a party shop, isn't it? Nicholas Moore's gone 2-0. Morelos first goal. I've got 3-0. Kent first goal. Ian Ross 2-1. Rangers. Morelos 3-0. Alfie hat trick. There we are, isn't it?
I love that.
Is Martin and Ross at the game? I don't believe they're at the game, but it's going to be 2-2 according to Gaz. Rangers 2-1 from Caroline. 3-1 Morelos double from Seamer. Curry's gone 1-1. They'll score first. DVB out by Monday. Generally, even if we drop points, I still would be surprised if we got red. I feel like the board would give him. I think the board were going to give him a lot of leeway based on these injuries that could actually be part of the management's problem. Mad Dog 1-1. Morelos 3-1 from Cami. 3-0, 5-0, or 5-0 is a new one. 3-0 tab. A couple of 2-1. Someone's going very confident here. He has gone rogue. 6-0 to Morelos, hat trick. Stretched on here on Stevens Roots. That's a good one. Don't mind that. And look at this. Are you kidding? No chance of 5-0. Well, look, we've got to be confident, and every time we step out, we still want them to win. We still want them to smash them. You never know. But yeah, I think that's it for me mainly. I'm hoping we get an early goal and we play well, because for me, I can get behind this team if they're really going for it and we're doing things. We can see what they're doing, but I get frustrated when, like the 1-0 win the other night, when it's just boring football and we feel like we get away with it, and then it's just kicking the can down the road. But hopefully, let's go for it. Real score 4-1 Rangers. We'll end on that.
Last game before the break, Stu. Let's be positive.
Let's go positive. We're gonna look at this for, well, I'll say positivity, not so much positivity, but maybe good for your overs bet.
It's not Wrexham. It's not Wrexham.
Yeah. So come back. We'll be back at half time with Graham Bryan to pick the bones of the first half, and then we'll have the post match as well. But until then, let's hope for a win. Come on, Rangers, and we'll see you then. Cheers.